Bible buddies, oh Bible buddies, I've got a mystery Bible for you and you're never gonna guess what it is. Dun dun dun! It's a Cambridge Cameo! Yeah, I know you would have never guessed it, right? We have not seen enough Cambridge Cameos on this channel. There are a few editions, and I don't know why. There are a few editions that I just happen to like pick up a bunch of. And again, I don't know why. Just, if I see a good deal on something on eBay, and it's a good deal, really in decent quality, I snatch it up. And before I was really keeping good tabs on everything, I guess I just tended to buy the same ones over and over again. So I do apologize. There is subtle differences between each one. So it's not a total waste, but it's another Cambridge Cameo review. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get started. All right, so this one obviously is a Cambridge Cameo. Now, this one is very unique because this is a antique French Morocco cover. Now, this is my absolute all-time favoritist leather that Cambridge ever used. I'm pretty sure you guys can tell, on camera, but it is just a very tactile, very deep, kind of ridgy leather. And it's fairly supple and fairly soft, given the age and all that stuff, the construction, blah, blah, blah. But it's just a very nice leather. I love these sort of like bumps in it. Oh, it's just great. I love really just character-filled leather like this. So this is my all-time favorite antique French Morocco that Cambridge used to do. I really wish they would bring this back. I don't know how they would bring it back. Maybe Time Machine, something like that. This edition is also unique in that it has Holy Bible stamped on it. You'll see on my other Cambridge Cameos, most of them are absent of this stamping. Now, I don't know why Cambridge Cameo decided to stamp this edition in particular. And I also don't know why they chose to offset it so crazily. Cambridge, what were you thinking? But yeah, just very unique leather. You can see down here that there was a name imprinted. I forget the name. No, sorry, I didn't even know the name. When I bought it this way, it was like somebody had tried to scratch it off. I guess they use like a butter knife or something to scratch off the name. By the way, that's the worst way to do it. Don't do it that way. Personally, I would just leave it because it's like a risk, right? Sometimes the name will come off perfectly and you won't have any problems. You'll just have like a little indent that you can barely see. Other times you'll start to try and remove it and it just like destroys and wrecks the leather. So for me, I would rather just have somebody's name neatly imprinted down there than having this sort of thing down there, which is always a possibility. I mean, obviously it's going to be mitigated if you don't use a knife to scratch it off. But either way, when they scratched it off, it left the leather like very rough. So I went through my normal process of treating the leather and sealing the leather. But what I used for down here, because it did have like a really rough texture, the leather was very torn up, I used a product called SC6000, which is like an alcohol-based wax, and it's kind of a preservative. And I put like several coats of that on it, and it really helped it out. So now, despite the fact that it looks lighter here, and I guess if I wanted to go crazy, I could try and dye match it, but I'm not going to try and do that. But despite the fact that it looks kind of lighter here, it doesn't have like any sort of a textural difference in feel. When I first got it, it almost felt like a suede because it was so torn up, but it kind of leveled out, so now it feels even to the rest of the cover, which is nice. You can see there is a little perimeter line going around the edge. On the spine, we have Holy Bible Red Letter Edition, Concordance, and then Cambridge down here. You'll notice there's no colophon. You can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of spine rib indications. They are not raised whatsoever. They're pressed in and burnished, which I don't mind on this edition. It looks nice. You will also note that this coloration here of the gold is very nice. It's almost like a rose gold. Let me see if I can get you guys close enough. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it's kind of like a rose gold. It looks very nice. I wish that Cambridge would really kind of step outside the box and do some of this stuff again. I feel like their editions were a little more memorable back then. Everything now kind of seems so cookie cutter. But on the back, you have just that great grain again. Oh, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. I don't even know what to compare it to. It just looks so awesome. Now, I don't know if this is like a stamped grain or simulated grain, but either way, it looks really good. So yeah, as far as other exterior features go, you have the red and yellow head and tail bands, and you do have just kind of like a red fabric ribbon. I'll pull it out here in a second. There's just a gold gilt. There's no kind of page dye or edge dye or anything like that. And you do have kind of a little bit of maybe a semi-yap or a partial yap. I don't even know what you'd call it, but not much of a yap, but something. When we get into it, you can see, there is this very like old school kind of mottled looking synthetic liner, and this one does feel pretty durable, and I don't mind the modeling. It kind of gives it like a little bit of a varied interest. The only thing I will say, and you can see it here, is for whatever reason, whatever this material is that Cambridge used, it tends to kind of like peel up around the edges over time, so you get this kind of like weird, you can see it here, just kind of like a weird bowing. And I don't know why it does that, but it has done that with literally all of my editions. I really wish that Cambridge would move away altogether from using synthetics. They just don't work out. But that's what we have, right? For corner work, it is pleated and very tightly so. Again, it is stamped with antique French Morocco down there. It is kind of like a rose gold color. On the back, you have just the same there. Nothing too crazy. Let's pull out that ribbon real quick, hopefully real quick. I always say that, but it ends up taking forever. Oh, look at that. We got a good... Okay, look at this ribbon. Goodness, this is a long one. This is a factory ribbon, too. I did not replace this one. So this one is it's just like a fabric. It's not even a single-sided or double-sided satin, nothing like that. It's like kind of almost like a sheer fabric. Really unique, I guess. But also very long, which I think is cool because Cambridge really never does that. So I don't know. This one, maybe somebody just went a little wild on the ribbon cutting. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. Not that it's going to look super unfamiliar, right? So we have just one thick end sheet here, and this is one of those things that have changed over the years, right? There's no change to the biblical text, right? The Cameo text is going to be the Cameo text is going to be the Cameo text for the most part, with subtle differences. But the other things that tend to change are like the number of end sheets, or you can see this presentation page has changed versus the modern one. You have these sort of little red designy things, kind of a little gold border, and then this Bible was presented to, which is unique. Let's turn the page. Then we have the family records page, which has been omitted in the more recent ones. We have children and marriages. Or imagine births and deaths after this. Let's see. Marriages and grandchildren. Okay, they threw me for a loop there. And then deaths. So there you go at the end. And if you notice, deaths is in gray too, which I can appreciate. It's kind of nice, kind of just to set it apart from the rest of it. You have one clear sheet, one blank sheet. And then you have your title page right there. And then at the bottom, you can see that it does say, again, like every other edition, it says Cameo 16MO refs, all right? So it's the Cameo model, and then it's a 16MO size, and it does have center column references. You will notice that there is an absence of the word India. This is not on India paper, but it does have the pronouncing text. So again, just kind of interesting that there are these subtle little differences over the years. I guess if you were like very particular, right, if you had a certain set of things you were looking for, you'd really have to reach out to the seller and make sure that like, hey, I need you to take pictures of this and this and this. So you kind of get the specific model you wanted. Because I know sometimes people would prefer India paper versus other papers and that sort of thing, or maybe a darker typeface and that sort of thing. So if that's what you're looking for, you will have to keep your eyes open. But we do have a little kind of copyright page there, which is different from some of the other editions. Some of the other editions just say printed in Great Britain at the bottom. Then we have our epistle dedicatory. And then we have our table of contents. Come on. And we have the table of signs used in this book. And the first book of Moses is called Genesis. Very beautiful text. Oh, man, beautiful text. I mean, very classic. I mean, obviously, it's the Cameo. So it's the same text we've been seeing already now for 100 videos now. But it does have overcast stitching. You can see there. I'll zoom you guys in. Hey, why not? All right. But you can see the little stringy there hanging. And the overcast stitching essentially is like it's an additional line of stitching, usually in the front and the back, and it's to kind of hold the first signature to the kind of the rest of the Bible there, in hopes that it won't separate, which is a common thing that you see. You'll see the first signature like pulling away, and sometimes even with the overcast stitching, you'll still see it where the first signature is pulling away from the Bible. I guess it just depends how much use you get out of your Bible. But we'll stop here and take a look at what we've already seen, and essentially. The text is just a double column verse by verse. They use Pilcrow markers for new paragraphs. It is a center column reference. They have a double line drop cap. You have your book and chapter numbers on the top corners, outer corners. On the inner corners where the gutter is, you have your running header. Page numbers on the bottom center. I will show you the Pilcrows and the center column references for you guys to look at. Now, one thing I have noticed is I do see a little bit of variety between the clarity of the print among these editions, right? Sometimes like the text kind of looks a little like darker, like this, a little more bold. And then like in other editions, it'll be a little more cleaner and a little lighter. So I don't know if that's just the printer that they were using, or maybe if they have different, print runs or something like that. Different plates, I guess, they're going off. I'm not sure, but there is variety between them all. And you'll notice too the kind of the paper coloration. This paper is a nice bone paper, which I can appreciate. I do prefer bone paper. I like the way it looks better. I don't mind the papers that have a little bit of kind of a yellowy, kind of creamy tint. But to me, something about bone paper just looks more timeless. I don't know, something about it. I can't put my finger on it, and I'm not going to try. I've already tried. Sorry, I failed. All right, so here we are in Psalm 119. And I guess this is good, so you guys can see Psalm 119 if you're curious about the layout of it. It is not in paragraph format, but you do have the Hebrew letters indicated there above each section. I know some Bibles omit that. I'm not sure why, but you do. I'll go to the New Testament. Oh, and there you go. Sneaky, sneaky. Sneak a little peeky. So you have the end of the prophets, and you have your one blank sheet, and you have your New Testament title page, and you can see, or as you already saw, it does have the words of Christ in red. And this red is not the same as the red from nowadays. It is definitely an old school, vibrant red. It took Cambridge many eons to get their red dialed in. I say that. Oh goodness. All right, so look at this. Yeah, I guess it's not the worst red. It's not super awesome though. It's very vibrant. It's very vibrant. It almost gives the page like a pink hue because of all the red. But yeah, that's the red that they use. That's the red that they use. So there it is. It is a red letter text. It is very red. You have to be cool with red letter text. If you don't like red letter text, certainly there are other editions of the Cambridge Cameo that are black letter text printed over the decades. So that availability is out there. But just be aware that their red wasn't the nicest of reds. So here we have the end. And if you notice, there are no printer's indications down here. One of the other editions I just looked at had the kind of the stamp, like the date stamp and the production run amount down there, and this one does not have it for whatever reason. So we will turn the page, and we have the concordance to the Old and New Testaments. And here's the concordance. Let's get you guys zoomed in so you can take a look. Kind of the standard fare. And this one does seem to be a pretty sizable concordance. It's got a good bit of entries. Get back to the Cambridge Bible Maps. And look, they used my favorite word, gazetteer. Excellent job, Cambridge. Kudos. Go back to using it. Cambridge Bible Maps, you got 8 of them. Followed by a gazetteer. Oh, another gazetteer. I don't know if that's true. So here we go. We have our Cambridge Maps, and these have been updated from the last edition we looked at it. They have a little bit more text in them to kind of let you know what's going on. And I do prefer these kind of subdued colors. It's a little more kind of natural looking. And, you know, my biggest gripe with the last edition that I was looking at was that, you know, the way that they kind of showed the topographic features, right, like the mountains and that sort of thing. I guess they only had access to black ink. So, I mean, it just turned into a mess of crosshatches and craziness. So it's good to see that they moved away from that and they kind of have better maps. Very nice little maps there. Love it. And then look, there's a gazetteer at the end. That's unique. Usually they put it before the maps, right? So flip to the end. You have one thick sheet, and then you have your end sheet. At the end, on your end sheet, you have your model numbers down there. So model number 74 XLR, I'm assuming for red letter. And then I'm assuming that's some kind of a production code. I could not tell you what. 3/2691. I got no idea. Nothing. Nada. So, yeah, Cambridge Cameo. You guys are probably so happy to see one. Don't worry, there's more. Let's go ahead and get measurements. Not that it's going to be much different, right? It is 7 3/8 inch tall by 5 1/8 inch wide. And I bet it's going to be over an inch thick. It's 1 1/4 inches thick. Now, as far as fonts go, I'm going to measure them here, but we already know what they are. They are, I don't know. Do we know what they are? I know it's an 9-point lowercase, and I think it's an 8.5-point uppercase. So what we'll do is B. We'll go right to 8.5 because I'm assuming that's exactly what it is. Looky there, 8.5-point uppercase. And a lowercase, we'll go right to 9. Looky there, a 9. So yeah, a 9-point lowercase versus Times New Roman, standard for the Cambridge Cameo. Bible Buddies, yeah, I guess if you have any questions, comments, concerns, any of that sort of stuff. If you're tired of seeing Cambridge Cameos, I'm sorry, you're going to see a few more. You can always unsubscribe to my channel, but please don't. I love you. Please don't. Until next time, Bible Buddies. Well, I guess first, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below, somewhere down there. If you could like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff, it would be much appreciated. Until next time, Bible Buddies. Bye.